You know, there's days it's good to be a sports fan. And then there's days like today where it's not good to be a sports fan, ladies and gentlemen. There are days like today where it is great to be a sports fan. And today is a great day to be a sports fan. The NBA playoffs have major games this evening. It is Major League Baseball's opening day. The Masters get started today. Golfers out on the course at Augusta National right now.
You said golfers.
I'm all right. Nobody worry about me. Hang on, I had more things I was adding. The Greenville Triumph have a match today. Match 1 of their inclusion in a nationwide tournament. It is a good day to be a sports fan, my friends. Welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. It is tremendous to be with you on a not very beautiful, but still, it's great to be alive Thursday morning. I am Rob Brown. The pleasure is mine. Directly across from me, the guy in charge of the broadcast. He brings you the seductive stylistic sounds of the show. He is the professor of perfection, hashtag dad kicks, Colonel Grudge, the alpha and the omega of the Fan Upstate, the conductor of the Symphony of Sound, the great one. Lonzo is at the helm. What up, Zo?
I want you to kill all the gophers. Not very good, but now I got dancing gophers in my head. I just can't. Hello, Rob. What a beautiful day, because I'm sitting across from you doing the sports program, and you know what? You can see me sitting across from Rob, although we're side by side on YouTube and on Facebook, and eventually, when we finally do it, we're going to be live on the website. We have the capabilities now, by the way.
We have the technology. Yeah, we'll be up on the website soon, too. I mean, it's just like, there's only, as of right now, there's only 3 different places people can go and look us in the eyes while we talk about sports. Let's add one more. So we're going to. That'll be with you soon. Man, what a day. I'm going to tell you, there's, like I said, there's days, there are no days where I am not grateful to do this gig. But there are days where it is tougher to do this gig than others, right? There are, and I'll complain about it in like June and July, where all we have is Major League Baseball. And it doesn't hurt my feelings. I love Major League Baseball. But when it's the only sport going, there are days you go, all right, I gotta actually work. I gotta actually work to do this. And then there's days like today where I've got the golf tournament of golf tournaments starting. I've got Major League Baseball's opening day starting today. I'm going to run you down the schedule, and later on in the show, we're going to give you some picks, projections, prognostications to get into as well. By the way, I just went to the web browser. My show prep notes, when I type in my show prep notes, I type my name, and then, Google autofills the website for where my show prep is stored. And I typed in Rob, and courtesy of yesterday's show, the first thing that came up was Robert Charles Brown, serial killer. So if anybody from work checks my search history and searches my name, it's going to be weird for me to answer why that's a thing.
Yeah, like they don't check that already.
Yeah.
You almost got me, by the way. I almost did it, but I caught myself. So you're still losing.
It's only Thursday, buddy. You tend to slip up on Fridays. You get a little comfortable.
I do. I get a little cocky, get a little happy. By the way, you haven't mentioned what we're doing later. I know all that stuff.
Was coming next.
All that stuff you're talking about.
That was coming
and
next.
And then we're doing something really cool later.
The next part of that is, while I'm watching the first round of the Masters, while we are getting comfortable with Major League Baseball's opening day, while I'm currently rocking the Greenville Triumph Electric Black Boogie Woogie Woogie jersey because the Triumph play tonight at home, while I am getting set for a big weekend for the Greenville Swamp Rabbits as we head towards the playoffs for them with a game tomorrow night and a game Sunday, all of that going on, and Lonzo and I at 1 o'clock today will be taking a break from all of it as we sit down to do an interview on StreamYard with the great Tony Schiavone of All Elite Wrestling, formerly of WCW and countless other wrestling organizations. We'll be talking to Tony Schiavone at 1 o'clock this afternoon in an interview that we will replay for you all tomorrow on the show.
Yeah, so don't get excited. Don't make your plans today at 1 o'clock to be ready to watch StreamYard because we're recording it.
Yeah,
so,
we'll record that interview for you, and we will replay it back for you tomorrow around 11:20.
Yeah, so this is a one-day tease.
Speaking of 11:20, it's Thursday, and you know what that means. Coming up this afternoon, late morning at 11:20. I'll stop saying that eventually. Coming up at 11:20 this morning, the great one Lonzo brings you Fight Club, your home for all things combat sports in the upstate. And let's just say, I haven't watched it yet, but there was an appearance at AEW Dynamite last night that I think might make the reference. Somebody's gonna kill you. Samoa Joe made an appearance.
Oh, yeah. You know what? For some reason, I thought that was old news. And
it happened last night.
It was a good match, too. There's just so much stuff going on. Last night seems like 3 days ago. So I'm sure we'll talk about that now.
I'm sure we will. 11:20 Fight Club. Lonzo brings you everything you need to know combat sports in the upstate, ladies and gentlemen. We have plenty of things to get to, plenty of things to talk about on the broadcast today. Allow us, if you will, to dive straight in. We've told you about the Masters this morning. It is going to be a tremendous tournament, I have no doubt. Now, what's going to be interesting on day number one, the weather is here. Wish you were beautiful, said the great Jimmy Buffett. The weather is at Augusta, but the course does look good. I mean, it's Augusta National. Of course it does. But the weather is in and around Augusta. And yesterday, late evening, into and over the night, Augusta was hit with a torrential downpour. In fact, they're showing the bleachers at Amen Quarter right now, and they are soaking wet. Soaking wet. Puddled everywhere. Which, of course, is going to change the way the course plays. The fairway is not going to give you as much bounce and roll. It is also going to give you far less forgiveness off the deck. The greens will be slowed down dramatically with the being wet. Now, most of the big courses like Augusta do have drying mechanisms for the green, so they won't be as bad as your local muni after a rainstorm.
I'm just picturing guys in jackets down there with paper towels.
Some of the courses, in fact, I know a couple of courses around here, they have these giant industrial fans that are, as big as a wingspan that they just point at wherever the hole is and turn them on. Places like Augusta, some of them have actually, they've got
irrigation and heating systems like what NFL or college.
Basically.
Yeah, that's cool.
So the greens won't be quite as affected as the fairways are. But again, you're going to lose some distance off the tee, especially the guys that hit those high arcing front rolling shots that hit the deck and start spinning and just roll and bounce, they'll lose a lot of that.
I have a question for you as someone who's golfed a lot more than I have. If you're one of these guys and you're making your way to the top of the golf game, you're at the Masters, and suddenly Tiger says he's coming. All the media attention goes to Tiger. Are you happy about that, or are you upset about it? This guy who hasn't been there for a while comes back, and now he gets all the shine. Are you happy, or are you upset?
It's got to be golfer by golfer, right? Like, I can't answer that because I don't know. I'm not on tour. There's part of me that thinks, great, right? Less eyeballs on me, less pressure on me to perform at any given one moment. I got to imagine there's a huge difference between standing over a birdie putt on Amen Corner with 30,000 patrons watching me versus 10,000 because the other 20K are following Eldrick around the golf course.
Well, you're the newly crowned #1 golfer in the world going into your first Masters, and you're thinking, yeah, finally, they're really going to notice me, and then Tiger shows up.
I guess the question here is, and I think that that's all. It's all the mentality, yeah. Like, there are some guys that perform better when they are the center of attention, and there are some guys that don't.
I mean, Tiger may not even make the cut, but the excitement ramped up a ton when he said he was going to play. So now suddenly, if you were thinking this is my moment, now everything's going to be following Tiger. I mean, yeah, you can just go out and win the whole thing. But still, I think from an ego standpoint, if you have one of those, it would probably bother you a little bit.
I don't know. I honestly can't answer that question. I don't know what the answer is there. There is a part of me that thinks, yeah, if this was my, if I'm Scotty Scheffler, the world ranked #1 right now, and it's my first and only Masters as the world ranked #1. Part of me that goes, I kind of want to focus on that. I kind of want to shine from that. But then there's a part of me that goes, I perform better when I don't have somebody standing over my shoulder, right? I will tell you right now, there is a difference. I'd like to say that there's not, but there is a difference for me. I don't know if it's true for you or not, Zoe. There is a difference for me in doing this radio show when it's me and you in the room versus when the boss is looking over my shoulder, right? If the boss is in here looking over the shoulder, man, it's a different feel to the show. I'm a little hesitant to be as ridiculous as I ordinarily am, even though I know he listens to the show every day. He's sitting in the office right now with the tuner on. If I'm looking at him, you overthink stuff, right? And I start to overthink stuff.
This is a great analogy because you do that, and I'm the exact opposite. If he's in the room, I'm showing out. I'm absolutely showing out.
But I think that makes it hold true more, right?
Yeah.
Like, if Tiger's got all the cameras pointed at him, it's going to be good for some guys and bad for others. Golf's kind of interesting, though, because especially at a place like Augusta, where there is so much risk reward on every single shot, it's kind of a different breed of cat. Because if you are sitting, I'm looking out, I drive 270, end up in the landing zone, and now I've got an option. So I'm sitting on 15, I think it is. Sitting on 15, and there is a pond that protects the front of the green. And you may want to lay up, right? You hate giving up a stroke, but you might just want to lay up, give yourself a nice little easy chip onto the green. But if you got 30,000, 40,000 patrons surrounding that hole watching you, there are guys like Lonzo that go, I'm about to put on a show, dude. I'm about to put on a show. I'm going to show these chumps why I'm on tour. And then there's people like me that go, a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. I think I'm just going to lay it up short, right? I'd rather lay up short and take 3 to get it in the hole than try to bomb the green and get it in 2, but risk putting it in the drink and have everybody here laughing at it when I walk off. It's just, it's all mentality, man. So I don't know. Tiger being out there will impact some guys well. It'll impact some guys poorly. The guy I'm interested to see how it impacts Tiger being out there is Tiger, right? Like I got a text on, what day did we talk about Tiger? Tuesday? Got a text talking about Tiger Tuesday, and then yesterday when they asked him, do you think you have what it takes to win this tournament? And he said, I do. I absolutely do. We talked a little about it. And I had a friend who was listening to the show that texted me and said, don't take this personally, but I'm kind of, as a golf fan, bummed out that we are on the cusp of the greatest golf tournament of the year at the greatest golf course in the world, and the only thing anybody's talking about is Tiger, right? The only thing anybody's talking about is Tiger. Well, I've told you guys 1,000 times and 1,000 times again. What gets talked about is what moves the needle. And there's never, and I say never, and I mean never, been a golfer that has moved the needle quite like Tiger. And I'm going to go one step further, Lonzo. And I'm going to say there has never been an athlete that moves the needle for his sport like Tiger Woods did.
See, it's hard to do that, though. I mean, if you want to say present day or the social media era, I completely agree. There are some pretty big deals back in the day, like Michael Jordan, like Jack Nicklaus. If they would have had all this social media out there and 24-hour sports stations and podcasts and all that kind of thing, who knows what would have happened as far as that goes. And those guys were already big deals. But I would agree with you right now, yes. In the modern social media era,
which
yes.
would be a good argument. Do you know what year Tiger Woods started his professional career and signed his contract with Nike, the most lucrative golf contract of all time?
Doesn't matter because he came into this era.
Wait, hold up. So you made the argument that it's because of social media.
Right.
I asked the question.
And the two people I mentioned, social media didn't exist at all during their career, period.
Do you know what year Tiger Woods signed the most lucrative golf contract in history with Nike?
No.
1996.
Is this when he was still in college?
This was when he was coming out of college. He
Right.
turned 20 in 96 and signed a contract with Nike. 96. Now, Rob Brown was 11 years old. I'm now 37. So, yes, of course, Tiger Woods' career stretched into the social media era. But also, 11 years old was Rob Brown, now 37. That's how long he's been in the game. And when social media came into, because when I got to college, that was when I went to college, in order to be on Facebook, Lonzo, you had to have an email address that ended in .edu. You had to have a college email address because Facebook was only for college kids, right? That Tiger Woods at that point was already a very successful professional golfer who already was moving the needle, who already was being featured on ESPN, unlike anybody else had ever done before.
You almost seem to be offended by my statement, and I still stand by it. His popularity, although it was great in the beginning, it accelerated once social media hit. Once and the amount of cameras we have around today, so many things, and still in the end, he's still not the greatest golfer of all time. And he's never going to pass him. And that's unfortunate. I like to see records broken, but he's not going to. And I'm not a golf fan, but I am from Ohio.
There it is. There it is. Just wanted to make sure we...
I'll say it before you. Jack Nicklaus, greatest golfer of all time.
You didn't have to tell me who you think it is. I already know. There's only two options.
You're right. There's only two options.
There's only two options for greatest golfer of all time. To the old guys, it's Jack. To the new guys, it's Tiger. That's pretty much how it breaks down.
But the people who look at the chip, the championship, the ring, whatever you want to call it, the people who look at who's won the most, those people, the people who say, well, they can't be in the Hall of Fame because they didn't win enough Super Bowls or whatever, Jack Nicklaus is still the greatest.
Tiger has more PGA Tour wins than Jack Nicklaus, by the way. Throwing it out there.
Championships? He's got more major.
Every win is a championship.
If you win the tournament that you made and it's like, you have to show up every time. Of course you're going to win that thing. I'm not saying it's rigged or anything, but you're going to win that tournament.
No, very rarely does that happen. No. Tiger's a better golfer. Let's take a break. Coming up today on the show. Actually, here in just a few minutes from right now. It is Major League Baseball's opening day. So we are going to get into that. Coming up next, speaking of the Masters, I'll give you a breakdown. I got 3 guys I think contend on Sunday for a green jacket. I got 3 guys I think you should bet against making the cut even. One of them I'm actually a fan of. I'll tell you who they are when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. And this is the Fan Upstate. Tell you about my friends at QC Kinetics, ladies and gentlemen. QC Kinetics is somebody I was very excited to get into a partnership with. And the reason why is, as somebody who many moons ago used to be a round-the-calendar athlete. I played all the sports all the time. I loved it. I wouldn't change anything. But the reality here is your body's got a shelf life on it. And all the parts of your body have a shelf life. It's just the reality, unfortunately. You got connective tissue inside your joints. As you wear and tear those down, they're going to get worn out. And when they do, parts that ain't supposed to touch, thanks to that connective tissue, they start to touch. And when they start to touch, you get inflammation, you get joint pain. It's an unfortunate reality that happens to, well, pretty much everybody. And somebody's going to say, oh, yep, you got to get a new knee, you got to get a new ankle, you got to get a new this, you got to get a new that. Well, before you do that, I want you to call my friends at QC Kinetics because they offer non-surgical regenerative therapy. You go in, this is therapy that professional athletes have taken for years, and they used to have to fly to Europe to get this type of non-surgical regenerative therapy. Now, not only can you get it in the States, but you can get it right here in Greenville, right up the road in Asheville. You go in, you meet Dr. Richard Schaefer, MD. You get the regenerative non-surgical therapy, and then, bango, you're right back to work just like that. No downtime, no surgery, no steroids, no anesthesia, no physical therapy, and it works. Check out their website, qckinetics.com, qckinetix.com, or give them a buzz. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that first consultation for free at 864-448-3772, 864-448-3772. It's our friends at QC Kinetics. I forgot to cut the stream, so enjoy my live reads there, stream.
Yeah, it's my fault, too. Yeah, no. Hey, man. Hey, it's my responsibility. And Kevin, if golf was WWE, it would be much more interesting. If it was Happy Gilmore-esque, I would love it. That would be awesome. I should apologize to Rob. I've derailed a few times today. Just pops in my head and I say it. That's never a good thing. Well, no, actually, it is a good thing. Tiger is a great story. especially if he were to win. But what are the chances of that? That's the thing about golf, Kevin. Don't tell Rob I said this, but golf is a leisure activity. It's a recreational activity. It's you don't have to be in great shape to play it. If you are in great shape, I'm guessing you play better. But there are guys like John Daly who did pretty well while doing other things. But a lot of sports have histories of guys like that, like Babe Ruth or other guys like that, I guess. Maybe.
And for the record, I did watch Moon Knight last night, Steven. Get off me, homie.
Now I have the song Moonlight Feels Right stuck in my head since you said Moonlight Feels Right. I'm nervous about 1 o'clock. I am sorry. It's. I think it's a little obvious. I'm also nervous about this stupid thing on my lip. Every time I look at the screen over there, it's just so huge. And we're going to be live Saturday.
Just to make you feel better, my nephew Lou is worried about your boo-boo.
Everyone's worried about it. And the bad thing is, this happens every year at the same time, and this must be a weakness because of allergies and all that kind of stuff. I can't do anything about it. I've tried medicine and stuff like that. It doesn't make it go away. It just has to run its course. And there are going to be people eating where we're at Saturday, so I'm going to have to position the headset mic in such a way that it covers that up, or that's what I plan on trying to do. With Tony Schiavone today, he's used to talking to people with busted lips, so we're good. Doesn't hurt, by the way, in case anyone was wondering. And for those of you who wish it does, too bad.
The Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. Great to be back with you. We are off and running at the Masters today. We have got dudes out on the course as it stands right now. Keeping an eye on the early tee times. Jose Maria Olazabal is out. Mike Weir, Patty Harrington are out on the course right now. Larry Mize, Francesco Molinari, Freddie Couples out there. VJ is out there. And coming up here, actually, we got a lot more. Stuart Sink is out there. Harry Higgs, Zach Johnson, all out and off so far. Matthew Wolf teed off already. Coming up in the next couple of groups, Max Homa, Shane Lowry will be off in a minute. Kevin Kistner, Daniel Berger, and Tommy Fleetwood. Although Lonzo, I believe Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah, he
hacked the locks.
It looks like he hacked the locks. So I have a dilemma here. Do I still root for him since he cut his hair? Here's what I believe. I believe once long hair, always long hair. I think there's a mentality that goes along with it. So I'm going to continue to back Fleetwood.
I respect it.
Especially after what he did yesterday.
Tiger Woods is paired with Louis Oosthuizen and Joaquin Niemann. They will be off at 10:34 a.m. We will keep you up to date with the scoreboard as we go today through the first round of the Masters. We've got only one golfer right now is under par. Garrick Higo from South Africa is 1 under through 1. Everybody else sitting at even or 1 over so far. And again, we will keep those scores for you throughout the day today, live at Augusta National. I got to tell you, I am intrigued by I'm intrigued by this tournament every year. I say that every time, but this year especially because the conditions from day 1 to day 4 are going to change so dramatically, which means you end up in a spot where these guys are going to be playing effectively 4 different golf courses over the course of 4 days. And that means that it's most likely everybody's going to get one day that treats them really well. Everybody's going to get, if they make it to day 4, a day that does not, or vice versa. And that to me is what makes this tournament this year as interesting as it does. Again, heavy downpour of rain last night through the overnight hours into the early daytime. Heavy rain, which means this course is going to be slowed down dramatically, right? Those shots that land out 270 aren't going to roll to 300 like they have for some of these guys in the past. It's just not going to have the same effects that it would if we had a nice, beautiful, sunny day for day number 1. Guys are going to lose distance. When you lose distance, it changes the approach, right? When you're used to your drive settling in at 300, 290, 300, and then all of a sudden it sits down at 265, 275, well, now you got to add 30 yards onto your approach shot. You're talking 2 club lengths of difference. You're talking about a radically different swing. You're talking about having to look at the geometry of the approach through a different lens. It's a different golf course. And that is why, despite being a fan, despite being a guy that I enjoy watching play golf, I put in a couple of bits of coin on this tournament. And one of the guys I faded to not make the cut was Bryson DeChambeau. I love Bryson DeChambeau. I've been a fan of Bryson DeChambeau for 2 reasons. Number 1, takes a very scientific approach to the game of golf. I think that's good, right? Science is how we get answers to everything. If we have an answer to something, you get it through science. That's the process. Why not put that into play, especially in a sport like golf? In a sport like basketball, science can still be applied, but because there are so many moving pieces that are directly impacted by other guys making in-time decisions with you, it's not like you can sit there and look at geometry and angles and metrics and all that to figure out, all right, do I dribble drive, trying to penetrate, shoot, and score? Or do I hit him with a crossover, step back, fade away, which is going to work better? You know a guy's tendencies. You can make an educated guess. In golf, you can science everything, right? You can science what angle of club face on my driver gives me the most distance and accuracy. You can science which length of club shaft, which grip is going to be best for me. You can science all of that together and eventually end up in a spot where you've got the numbers to show you what is best. You've got the numbers to show you what works and what does not. And that's the approach Bryson takes. That's the first reason I like him. The second reason I like Bryson DeChambeau is because of how mad that makes everybody else. I love that Bryson said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this toothpick body. I'm going to put about 45, 50 pounds of muscle mass on it. I'm going to get absolutely yoked. Then I'm going to hit the laboratory. I'm going to science the hell out of this. I'm going to find out what clubs, what balls, what lengths are the best for me. And then I'm going to get out there. Instead of looking at the course and going, oh, I feel like this is the shot, I'm going to look at the golf course via numbers, right? I'm going to look at numbers. I'm going to look at slopes. I'm going to look at angles. I'm going to look at approaches. And I'm going to put a little algebra and trigonometry into play out there and see if I can't come up with what is the best approach to this, scientifically speaking. And golfers got furious with him about that. It's not a scientist game, Bryson. I would disagree. I think it is entirely.
Under their breath, they said, nerd.
Yeah, they said it under their breath because dude would uppercut their head off their neck if he wanted to. I loved last year at the peak of old school golfers being mad at Bryson because Bryson sciences the course. He was showing up to tournaments on championship Sundays, Lonzo, in polo shirts that had science equations and test tubes and mathematical symbols written on them. Hell yeah, I love that guy.
It was absolutely great.
It was phenomenal. It's a troll job at its finest. What are you going to say? Dumb shirt, Bryson. Oh, got him. Got him.
Or maybe they didn't get it.
Even
Which
better.
makes the troll even better.
Even better. However, unfortunately, Bryson's had some injuries he's been dealing with. Possible ramification of the fact that he put on 45, 50 pounds of muscle mass. When you just throw 50 pounds of extra muscle onto your skeletal structure, it's not built to handle that.
And it's not the first time this has happened in golf either, where other golfers have done the same thing and then ran into some problems. There's got to be a happy medium in there somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, I'm not a biologist, but it's one thing to throw 50 pounds of muscle mass on. It's another thing to do it gradually so that your body adapts to it and gets used to it. If I asked Lonzo to throw on a backpack with 50 pounds of weight in it and carry it around all day, he's going to be hurting the next day.
I've done that before. It was actually 100 and something pounds technically, and then I lost all that weight.
You wrestling people are weird. But, if I asked Lonzo to carry a backpack with 5 pounds in it for a week, and then 10, then 15, then 20, week at a time, when it gets to 50, it's not going to be any big deal. He's used to it. His body's adapted to it. Bryson, I don't think, did that. Bryson just went ham on the weight room, bucked it up 50 pounds, and the body's paying the price for him now.
I'm sure he has a personal trainer and nutritionist and all that kind of stuff, because most of those guys do when they put on that kind of weight, who was probably counseling him, telling him that his body could handle it.
Sure. Doesn't look like it.
And every body is an individual thing, so what works for one doesn't work for another sometimes, and that's probably what happened.
By the way, Bryson said that his doctors told him not to play this weekend. He said, they told me I'm not ready, rest and recovery. He goes, but it's the Masters. I can't not try, right? I can't not try. So he ran with it. Bad news for Bryson is that usually means you ain't in top physical condition. And as a golfer, I'm not saying you got to be a beast, but you've got to have your body working at peak in order to get through the muscle memory it requires to hit some of the most challenging shots in golf. Fade Bryson DeChambeau to not make the cut, and that's from a fan.
All right, so here's the thing. If you care about what people say, which he doesn't seem to, but if you did, there's no way he could not play with Tiger playing because of what Tiger went through, and now he's playing. You have no choice. Whether you want to or not, you've got to go out there and give it a shot.
100%. My back's tweaked a little bit. Yeah. Tiger's leg is bionic because they were shattered 14 months ago. You in or you out, Bryson? Tiger's playing. You in or you out, Bry? Gotta be in. Really like fading Bryson DeChambeau to not make the cut. And I'm worried about him. I like the guy, but I'm worried about him. Fading Tiger to make the cut, too. I put money for Tiger not to make the cut. I'm sure he's listening on the putting green out there at Augusta on the stream. Actually, he's not because you can't have cell phones, but you get the point. Fading Tiger not to make it. 3 guys I really like. I'm starting with Justin Thomas. JT historically has not putted well at Augusta. I don't know why it is about what it is about those greens that prevent him from putting well, but he just doesn't putt well. That being said, JT in the last few weeks has looked locked in and statistically speaking has been as efficient with a golf ball as anybody else. Now, last year, the last few rounds of the Masters last year, he was absolutely cooking until on the par 5 13th, he took a snowman, took an 8, knocked his score up to a 75, and it was always downhill. But at the Players' Championship, Justin Thomas looked really good. He's a 12-1 guy. Guy that I'm taking to have a top 10 finish. This is one of the things you can bet in golf. Bet on a guy in position-wise. You can take really long odds to win, better odds to be top 5, top 10. Top 10 bet for me, Brooks Koepka. Guy's been playing good golf. 3 top 20s in his last 4 starts. He appears as healthy as he has ever been. Remember last year at the Masters, he looked like he was a threat to contend, but he had a knee injury that hampered him, and there were shots of him walking up hills where he looked like he was in pain. In the last 16 starts in the 4 majors, Brooks Koepka has 12 top 10s. He will be in the top 10. Take that. I have got Xander Schauffele as a real threat to win this thing. He's in the mix to win. Schauffele's last 2 starts at Augusta in April have been T2 and T3. Last year, he wins the tournament and beats Hideki Matsuyama, except for he splashed his tee shot on the par 3 16th. If that sits on the green for him, he wins the Masters. Keep an eye on that cut. He's got a chance. And then finally, Jon Rahm. Jon Rahm. No betting favorite has won the Masters since Tiger in 2005. But Jon Rahm's probably got the best chance to do it. 4 top 10 finishes in his last 4 Masters starts. Went on a run earlier this year, including 3 top 10 finishes in 4 starts. Rahm is a monster. Even if he has a bad round, he's so strong that if he goes low the next day, he's right back in it. I have taken Jon Rahm and put money on him as a top 5 finisher. I just need him in the top 5, and I think he's got a chance. So those are some of the names I really, really like. I like Justin Thomas. I like Brooks Koepka as a top 10. Bryson DeChambeau to miss the cut. Xander Schauffele, top 5. Jon Rahm, top 5. Those are the guys I'm putting money on. And, of course, keep an eye on DJ. 2020 Masters champion, but missed the cut in 2021. Remember, that was the weird year. I don't think DJ misses the cut. I don't know if I'm picking him top 10 yet, but I might. He's won this thing once before in the spring. He could do it again. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 1 here on the show. My name is Rob Brown. The great Malonzo's at the helm. You got any Masters questions, thoughts, concerns? I want to hear them. Phone lines open, 844-FAN-PHONE, F-A-N-F-O-N-E, 844-326-3663. You can also shoot us a text on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. We're back after this on The Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
So I know that this is taboo or whatever you want to say, and you're not supposed to talk about this, but when you walk into the restroom and you nearly get physically ill because of the smell, and you're wondering, my God, what did you eat last night, whoever you were, and please don't ever do that again. And I'm sure that happens everywhere. It might even happen at your own house. I don't know, but that was rough. I'm sure someone's very proud of what they've done. But dude, so that's a warning to you. I'd wait.
Yeah, I was gonna make a run, but I think I'll wait till.
Yeah, you should wait. What's up, Tayshawn? I made it to the Halleck tree last night. I'm not a fan. Still in the tree, by the way. Finally had to turn it off and say, you know what? I want to sleep tonight. This thing has frustrated me to the point I will not if I continue. It's a lot of falling. It's a lot of falling. You're in the top of a tree. You got to make your way down. Running doesn't work. Neither does your horse. It doesn't make sense that your horse would show up in a tree, but it's a spirit horse, so give me my horse. By the way, that's not a joke. I really am queasy after walking in there. My stomach.
I didn't think it was a joke. I just have no interest in it.
I need to get me a luchador mask to wear during times when I have this. I mean, that'll take care. Of course, it'll stick to it, but, you know.
I have one. It's black and gold, and it's amazing.
Diesel's got one. I mean, I know where he got his, so, but I've never been in a place where you could buy them. And
any indie wrestling.
Well, I got to tell you, as someone with a really large head, in case you guys didn't notice, I can't just order a lucha mask online because it's probably not going to fit my head. So it's something that I really need to try on. Is Rashad not coming on today?
Oh, I forgot about Rashad. Yeah, he is.
What time?
1. 1.
Not 1.
Damn, this segment. I totally blanked on it. He was supposed to be in the last segment.
Well, we can't do it now.
I'm going to see if he can do it at the top of next hour.
Okay.
Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob Alonzo and you. Texter says, Fan, Rob and Alonzo. Enjoy your show. The Panthers are just making no sense at all since Tepper became owner, and now the situation with stalling on the facility in Rock Hill. I feel this is just the first of many moves that leads to the Panthers leaving the Carolinas. What's your take?
I'm texting Alonzo to see what he thinks about it. He hasn't gotten back to me.
Friend of the show, Alonzo Mourning, ladies and gentlemen. My take on it is I don't think you're wrong. Neither does Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. That was the first thought I had, and I thought, I'm being dramatic, right? I've been told I have a flair for the dramatic occasionally. I thought I'm being dramatic. And then Florio comes out and goes, guys, I'd pay attention to this, right? David Tepper trying to play hardball. To the point, by the way, that there are now more politicians, including Henry McMaster, who are getting involved in this situation and saying that Tepper is handling himself like a bad businessman. Remember the cat yesterday, the state representative from South Carolina yesterday that dropped the line, David Tepper promised us Jerry Jones but is giving us Dan Snyder? He came out today and said, If this is how the NFL does business, who wants to do business with the NFL? They're saying that Tepper basically promised to negotiate in good faith, knowing this would be a moving target, and has now said, screw you, I'm taking my ball and going home. If that is what he's doing here, I don't think it's a long shot to say that when he decides it's time for a new stadium in Charlotte, he plays the same game of hardball. And if he doesn't get his way, Roger's got a city for him somewhere he'll pay him to go to. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. Don't want to, but I've got to go. I have to think of it.
Hold your nose.
So we do still talk to Savannah Steven, but she has moved on from her Golf Now job.
I would offer that, Stephen, but I may be the reason why it's necessary. So that might have the opposite effect.
Sports Radio.
Wouldn't want someone to bust me in the lip or something. That would be bad. Wouldn't be able to hide that. Hey, look, there's a Prisma in the next break. You hear me? Did you hear me?
Prisma in the next break.
You hear me?
Actually, hey, look, there's a Prisma in the next break.
Wow.
I promise I don't actively ignore you. Our Numerados of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello! Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. It is so good to be back with you guys. I am Rob Brown. Headbanging through this amazing intro on the other side of the glass is the great one, Lonzo. Got a busy second hour lined up for you. I have to issue an apology to the great Rashad Beard as I blew it. We have been... This week has been wildly hectic, and today is no different, obviously. With the Masters, with opening day of Major League Baseball, the Triumph have a match tonight. The Swamp Rabbits are jockeying for late positioning in the SPHL with a big weekend coming up this weekend I'll be covering. We have been absolutely slammed, and I just blew it with Rashad. So I have spoken to him. Rashad Beard will rejoin us either tomorrow if he's got time. If not, next Thursday, we'll get back into our groove. So that's on me, and I apologize to Rashad, and I apologize to those of you that tuned in for the interview with Rashad that we do every Thursday at 9:30.
So you can blame Rob for not getting Rashad's beautiful smile on your screen that just brightens your day.
Yeah.
It brightens everyone's day.
He's a great interview. He's a great interview, and it is very unfair putting this ugly mug up next to Rashad Beard with a $1 billion smile. 100%. So Rashad will join us next week. It wasn't because I needed a break from Rashad. Trust me, I wanted to get Rashad's thoughts on all that's going down with the Panthers funding stuff is on the show prep. I just blew it. So we'll get Rashad either tomorrow or next Thursday, and we'll circle back to what's going on. So there we go. There we go. Let's get into, I want to get into Major League Baseball here in just a minute, but before I do, on Tuesday, we were breaking down the NCAA National Championship game of men's basketball between the Rock Chalk Jayhawks and the University of North Carolina. And we were talking about Armando Bacot. Remember, in the second half, Bacot got injured when his ankle rolled. And there was footage going around. There was footage going around of that ankle roll. And there were a lot of people, myself included, we know what we saw, right? We are convinced the footage. In fact, if you go to the stream at facebook.com/thefanupstate, twitter.com/thefanupstate, or if you join us on YouTube by searching The Rob Brown Show and subscribing to The Rob Brown Show channel on YouTube, you can actually, I'm going to put the video up of what we have seen and what led me to believe that, like I said, I have seen the ankle roll, right? If you watch the right foot of Armando Bacot, which was the ankle that he rolled, and it didn't look like all that bad of a roll, but as somebody who has ankles, you know, the tendons in your ankle that keep your foot from, they're like really tight rubber bands, you know. After enough years of basketball, Lonzo, my rubber bands are now just loose pieces of yarn.
It always seems like Lonzo has a story for everything. I'm sorry. It just happens. I tore all the ligaments in my right ankle. So I actually know what that feels like. Was playing football in the backyard, went to cut, and my ankle touched the ground, and I did not get back up. So, yeah, it hurts. It hurts really, really bad.
Yeah. I've never torn him, but I've rolled him a lot, right? Anyway, I've got the video up and running right now on the, it's not super graphic, like it's painful to watch, but it ain't easy.
It is to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got the video up of Armando Bacot when he rolled his ankle, and if you look at the video, to me, it certainly looked like the court gives way under his right foot. Not a lot, but it looks like the court gives way under his right ankle when he goes to plant. He's driving to the right. He's got the Kansas player on his left shoulder. It looks like, he's gathered the ball under the right arm. And as he plants the right foot, it looks like he's going to pivot to kick the ball out to whoever it was that was over at the 3. He's got 3 Kansas Jayhawks collapsed on him. Looks like he's going to kick the ball over to whoever's open at the 3-point line to take a shot after driving to the rack and collapsing the defense. And from the footage that we're watching, and I'm gonna actually go so far as to drop the banner so we get the full look at this. It looks to me like the floor gives way under his right foot, right? Like Lonzo said, he thinks that it might just be the way the lights are hitting the floor, and I accept that is a reasonable possibility for what happened.
There's a reflection off the dude standing there in yellow, right exactly where that is, and I think that's what's making you think the floor gives.
Maybe, but I have zoomed in. I have gone CSI Miami on this. Enhance, damn it! I have put on my Horatio Kane sunglasses and played The Who lightly in the background while I tried to discover the truth of this mystery. I think the floor moved on him. And so do a lot of other people. Like, to the point that this video has been seen a lot of times, and to the point that there are a lot of folks like myself who are convinced that the floor moved under his right foot. And if the floor does not move under his right foot, that ankle doesn't roll. Armando Bacot, who was already on a gimp right ankle, probably finishes that game. Probably helps collapse defenses enough to open up more successful 3-point efforts from the Tar Heels and maybe wins that game. I'm not saying they would have. Say they would have had a better chance to. So, as I watch this over and over, I'm reading an article. Pete Thamel of ESPN is reporting that Jeff Krejcia, Krejsa, Jeff Krejcia is vice president of marketing and strategy for Connor Sports. Connor Sports is the organization that manufactured the court for the Final Four. He said, quote, "The court's absorption characteristics are by design, and there were no loose floorboards or panels within the court, as confirmed by an expert technician who was present at every game of the men's Final Four to ensure the quality and safety of the floor," end quote. Thamel writes, quote, Slow motion replays, which later went viral on social media, showed what appeared to be a floorboard just outside the restricted area of the paint that depressed slightly under the weight of Baycott's right foot in the instant before he re-injured the ankle. Baycott did not mention the floor in the aftermath of the game, but the video of his right foot pressing down on the floor prompted countless retweets and questions about the caliber of the playing surface. The comments from Kreja, I'm guessing.
See, I think the J is silent.
So, Cressa?
Yeah.
Kresha?
Or maybe it's Kreha.
Kreha? And it's GIF, not GIF. The championship floor, as is all the floors, is a panel system engineered for athlete safety and comfort, achieved by its ability to absorb impact forces as an athlete jumps or pivots abruptly, while also ensuring that the players nearby are not negatively affected, end quote. North Carolina AD Bubba Cunningham. Bubba Cunningham said school officials did not address anything with the NCAA regarding the court. He said, quote, "We played 2 games over that space, just an unfortunate thing at a critical time," end quote. Baycott left the Superdome on Monday night in a walking boot after the injury. 6'10", 240 pounds goes Armando Baycott, so he put no shortage of weight on that foot. Look, frankly, I don't know what happened, all right? Like I said, it absolutely looks to me like the floor gives way slightly, ever so slightly. But you are talking about a 240-pound cat, and you are talking about a 240-pound cat at damn near full speed, putting all of that force, right? So exponential force. Because you've got not only 240 pounds, but you've got 240 pounds moving at a vector, and then transferring all of that kinetic energy into that 1 foot. If the surface that he was expecting to be there gave way, it makes sense the ankle pops. But, as been pointed out multiple times, it is also important to remember that Armando Baycott was already playing on an injured ankle. That ankle was already not 100%. So some folks are saying, the floor always moves. No, it doesn't. Played basketball a long time. Doesn't happen. But even if it did, unfortunately, him playing on a bum ankle as it is creates a situation where he's more likely to be injured if the floor moves. And this can't happen. If it is what happened, like I said, I get that there are a lot of people that think this is potentially like an optical illusion of some point. I've watched this, 100 times that I've been running it on the stream right now. I'm going to take it off in a minute. So if you haven't gone, you can go watch the replay of the stream after the show at facebook.com/thefanupstate, and you'll see it too. But I'm watching this. It looks like the floor moves. Guys, this can't happen. This is the biggest game in college basketball. End sentence. This can't happen. Accidents happen. Accidents are always going to happen. But this is a spot that it just can't. It just cannot happen in this spot. It's unfortunate. Not just for the injury to Armando Baycott, but the injury to Armando Baycott and the impact that losing the best rebounder that UNC had in a game that was 6 inches away from going to overtime on that last 3-point shot. Steven says, look at the left foot. I see a similar effect. I agree. I don't know that it is as evident. In fact, after the show today, I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to. After the show, I'm going to drop this into my video editing software, which lets me slow it down to frame by frame and see if I can pick anything else. The left foot does look like it is the impact of the shadow of his foot coming into line. There is a security guy in a bright yellow shirt whose bright yellow shirt is reflected onto the floor. And it does look like with the left foot that is caused by the break of the light reflecting off the yellow shirt onto and then reflecting off of the court. But the right foot, I see movement. I see the floor giving way. Cannot happen in the biggest stage. The NCAA's got to make sure that they do better than that. They just have to. And Lonzo just gave a look of, Rob, how the hell do you want them to do that?
No, I just I disagree that I don't believe the floor moves. So I just think it's reflection. So has the player himself, has he been questioned?
He's not said anything about it.
Right. So I mean, if the floor moved and he felt it move, I would think he would come out and say, hey, the floor moved.
Yeah, but I'd also say I don't know that he's going to feel the floor move, right? Because that ankle starts the roll like as soon as it hits the ground. And as somebody who has gone through that many, many, many times, when that ankle gives way, you don't feel anything but the snap.
When you have an injury already, you're going to treat it differently. You're going to move differently. And if you notice, he doesn't land flat-footed. He lands with the ball of his foot and then the toe, and then it tweaks. So I think it's a reflection.
Fair enough. I don't know if it is or isn't. Mark Ryan and I both believe that it is we both believe the floor moved.
How do you feel agreeing with Mark Ryan? Does that make you
I need a shower?
Does that make you feel more confident in your stance?
Listen, I've said many times,
curious.
Mark and I are we don't shy away from the fact that we don't agree on a lot, but it also emphasizes that when we do agree on something, there's something to it, right? All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, it is Major League Baseball opening day, ladies and gentlemen. It is Major League Baseball opening day, and therefore, it's time for Lonzo and I, well, probably me, to go on the record. I'm going to give you my divisional winners, and I got to tell you, as much as it pains me, I've got a clear favorite to win the World Series this year, and it is not the Atlanta Braves. Tell you who it is when I come back. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Prisma.
Tell you about my friends at Prisma Health right here in the Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. Prisma Health, when I moved
By the way, if you have any questions for Tony Giovanni, throw them up there and we'll see if we can ask him when we interview him later today at 1 p.m. And then we're not going to re-air it. We're going to air it tomorrow. So. And also, Rob didn't mention this, but we're getting to StreamYard it. So that's cool too. I don't know. Since I'm going to be in public Saturday doing the show, maybe I should put a fake black eye in to go with my lip. Because people are going to think something already. Might as well go all the way, you know? Ooh, you know what? It is South Carolina Comic-Con. Maybe I just cosplay as something. I got to figure out who's someone... Well, just about every comic book hero has been beat up. I don't know. I've got 2 days. I could make a costume in 2 days. Maybe I can just dress up as a pirate and pretend like I have scurvy. That's why I've got the thing on my lip.
It's not better.
Well, I mean, you know. Well, as I just mentioned, it's South Carolina Comic-Con. I could cosplay as something around the lip thing, and it will make it look like it's, fake. I could do that. Or I could just do this the entire time, which is hard to do when you got a headset mic on.
Just be in deep thought the whole time.
Yeah. This, by the way, is my normal on-the-desk pose, so it's not unusual. Although, when I'm looking at the computer and I'm thinking, I usually do this. So, can't really do that now. I think it stems back to, like, my third grade teacher who would make us all do that and say, you can't think if you're talking. Which you can, but maybe not as a third grader. How come whenever I see Steve show up on my Twitter, I think he's watching? In case he's listening, you're right. It is the amazing Rob Brown Show.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, upstate South Carolina. And happy Major League Baseball opening day after a lockout of 100 days. After thoughts that we may not get baseball at all. We have arrived. It is Thursday, April 7th, and baseball is here. First pitch of the season will be thrown out in Chicago, ladies and gentlemen. when the Cubs play host to the Milwaukee Brew Crew. At 4:10, the Cleveland Guardians. Whoa, whoa. We are Guardians. Whoa, oh. We'll be at the Kansas City
Which will
Royals.
forever be the Miami song will be. As soon as I hear Guardians, I'm going to think of that and Scott Stapp instead.
Oh, Marlins, with a little hope and faith, you will so good.
All right, you went Hulk Hogan at the beginning there.
Brother.
That was a wild combination there. I like it.
Somebody reminded me of the show Thunder in Paradise the other day for no reason.
Yeah, I was watching the new WWE series called Evil, and they were talking about the NWO, and they were showing Thunder in Paradise and showing him on the boat. I'm not sure I've ever watched an episode of Thunder in Paradise.
Seriously. He had that dope all-black cigarette boat, and for whatever reason, every crime that took place happened to be around water. Very convenient for a guy with a speedboat as his main vehicle choice.
It's kind of like Aquaman, right?
Yeah. Loving the Aquaman. Like, for Aquaman and for Randolph J. Hurricane Spencer, every crime they got involved with just happened to be around water. The boat was named Thunder, and they traveled around the world on it, solving water proximity to crime. Respect that. Anyway, baseball. That's what we were talking about. That's just how this show works, kids. Pittsburgh and St. Louis at 4:15. The Mets at Washington at 7:05, opening up NL East play. The Atlanta Braves featured this evening on ESPN The Deuce on opening day, when the Bravos play host to the Reds. Houston's at the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim at 9:38, and opening day play wraps up with San Diego at Arizona at 9:40. Boston and New York were supposed to play today to open up the season. That game has been postponed due to the weather. Same with Seattle at Minnesota. So, the Braves had their opening day today. What do we see out of our divisions this year? I'm going to give you my division winners. I won't go too deep in the rest. Just my winners up front. And I'm opening with the NL West, because it is easily the easiest division to pick. Ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Dodgers are your NL West champions, and it won't be particularly close. The Giants are still good, but they lost Buster Posey, who is a future Hall of Famer. The Padres are good, but Fernando Tatis Jr. is out for at least the first 2 months of the season. They're going to be playing catch-up. The Rockies got rid of Nolan Arenado because reasons. They got rid of Trevor Story because reasons. And they signed Chris Bryant, but to a huge contract, which means they can't really do much else. And then you got the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are going to be interesting to watch, but they won't be good enough to contend. So we move to the NL Central. This division is going to be one of the most favorite to watch. St. Louis Cardinals have Albert Pujols back. They've still got Molina. They've still got Wainwright. Collectively, that is 55 years of Major League Baseball and 23 All-Star selections between the three. Now, Pujols is in his last year, and there is some off-the-field drama happening. Albert Pujols' wife just had brain surgery a few days ago, and then Pujols hit her with divorce papers straight out of the OR. Nice move, Albert. Albert waits till his wife has brain surgery, gives her divorce papers while she's still recovering, and then hits me with the old classic line of, "I'm a good Christian. Please leave me alone in this trying time." Dude, that's a jackass move, dude. It's a jackass move. And fortunately, people are calling him to the carpet on it. Because it's a bad guy move, man. There's no heel or face there. It's straight heel. But the point is, that's a lot of distraction that Albert Pujols is going to have to run through. A lot of distraction that the St. Louis Cardinals are going to have to run through. Which is why I got the Milwaukee Brewers winning this division. They had 3 starting pitchers that were all-stars last year and a closer that was an all-star last year. I like teams with depth in the rotation, and maybe nobody has more than the Brew Crew. Brewers win the Central, Cardinals second, Reds third. The Chicago Cubs and Pittsburgh Pirates have fallen off. How about the NL East? Let's look at the Braves division. Why not? You got the Phillies, who have added Nick Castellanos and Kyle Schwarber. They've got Bryce Harper there as well. You've got the Atlanta Braves. Ronnie Acuna is going to miss at least a little bit of time at the beginning of the year. Not as much as we talked about a few minutes ago with Fernando Tatis Jr., but sometime. You've got the New York Mets. Jacob deGrom is hurt, and his return date right now is question mark. The Nationals are on a rebuild, and then Lonzo, the Miami Marlins, who will not soar. Braves win the division again. Phillies are good. Phillies are better. Bryce Harper's the reigning MVP. Castellanos and Schwarber add bats to a lineup that needed them late last year, but the Braves might have the best chemistry in all of Major League Baseball, and there's something to say for that. Braves win that. We'll talk about the American League coming up in just a couple of minutes from now, but before we do, ladies and gentlemen, I have to issue, apparently I'm going to have to issue an apology here because apparently Hulk Hogan has called the show. Hulkster, welcome to the Rob Brown Show, buddy.
Well, you know, brother, I've been listening to you, brother, and just a cheap imitation, brother.
I got to tell you, Hulk, I've been working on it for many years. I feel like I end the show with a tribute of later, brother. And I got to tell you, I don't think it's as bad as you're making it out, Hulk.
But what you going to do, brother, when my little Hulk maniacs come down to that station, brother, and do a whooping on you, brother, what you going to do?
I got to tell you, Hulk, for years, I have watched you put yourself over. For years, I have watched you make yourself out to be better than everybody else. And I will be the first guy to tell you, Hulk Hogan, you're not going over on Rob Brown, not on my show, brother.
Well, you know, brother, I got a little help here from The Undertaker.
You know, I bring my own help too, buddy. Oh, yeah. And I know that you put Macho Man, you are the heelest of heels when you put your hands inappropriately on Miss Elizabeth, brother, and there's still some anger in there from back in the day that you will have to face one day. Retribution is real, Terry.
And then my real good friend, of course, Ric Flair. Woo! 1 hour down in the Broke Island with the Nature Boy.
Thank you for calling the show, Hulk Hogan. I say, really good Hulk, questionable Rick.
No, well, it's older Rick. And
Yeah,
it's
fair.
older Rick since we can't tell if it's false teeth or not. I know it's probably sacrilegious for me to say that it's Ric Flair, but it sounds like the teeth are a little loose in there right now. And I thought that impersonation of loose teeth Rick worked pretty well.
Rick will hit you with his cane. Be careful, brother.
I'm more afraid of his daughter than I am him.
Thanks for calling the show, Hulk. Glad to have you, Terry. Appreciate you joining. By the way, did you catch when we interviewed Paul White last week and he called Hulk Terry? That was amazing.
And his Hulk Hogan impersonation is very, very good.
Yeah, his Hulk Hogan impersonation is better than Hulk Hogan's nowadays. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll take a look down the American League side of things. I've given you my NL divisional winners coming into the year. I am taking the LA Dodgers out of the West. I am taking the Brewers out of the Central, and I'm taking the Braves out of the East. Texter says, wow, new low for the show. Oh, you clearly haven't been listening that long, pal. You are clearly new to the show if you think that was a low.
Yeah, it's a new time slot, so,
All right, brother. We're back right after this. And I got plenty more sports to talk about, brother. So stick around on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, brother. I was nowhere close to a show low.
No, it's not. And I thought Dude's Hogan was pretty good, actually. Probably the same guy that called Mark Show. Yeah. Dude, I have a burning question, and I have to ask now before next hour. Rick Steiner was kidnapped last week. How is he making it to Comic-Con this weekend? Did he somehow get? Did they get him out?
How do I know that Comic-Con's not behind it? That guy, when you answered the phone, did he talk to you initially in his Hulk Hogan voice.
If it were bad, I probably wouldn't have allowed it, but
It wasn't bad.
it was pretty good. So
Oh, no.
good luck with that one.
Be easier from over there because you got a corner sticking out today.
Yeah, but it's just a corner. It's barely. All right, you said it'd be easier. Let's see.
Oh, curve. Threw a curveball.
You need to throw it like a lawn dart. Or like an axe.
Oh, come on!
I reserve my judgment on his misses until I get over there and do it myself. Probably in the next break. Yank him, coach. Oh, you take a breath.
Made that one.
With authority. Yeah. Hopefully you move the basket a little bit. We're efforting that, Steven, someday.
All right, so I ran through the National League. Now we run through the American League predictions for the year. I gave you my NL picks, which were the Dodgers out of the West, the Brewers out of the Central, and the Braves out of the East. Over in the American League West, keep a sincere eye on the Seattle Mariners. All right? Keep an eye on the Mariners. I think I'm taking the Mariners out of the West. The Mariners have a couple of really solid playmakers. It's not the most standout lineup of them all, but it is solid. And they've got a decent rotation to work with as well. This might be, of your division winners, the quietest. And I can already hear people going, wait a minute, Rob, how are you not taking the Angels? Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout are arguably the two best baseball players in the game. And I agree. But it is not a deep starting rotation. It is not a great set of bullpen players. If the Angels don't win the division, it will be because they've got very little coming off the bump. Unless they find a way to improve that, I think Seattle can steal this division away from them. The Houston Astros are an old team now. They have lost Carlos Correa. He is out. That's a big bat out of the lineup. Justin Verlander is still there, but at some point he's going to slow down, and I think this might be the year. And the Rangers and the A's just are what they are. They just are what they are. Over in the Central, how about the White Sox? Now, they got a problem because Lance Lynn got hurt, and another guy with kind of a question mark as to what he's going to be able to do season long. So that's a question mark for me. Minnesota Twins are set up to have a really good year. And you got the Royals, the Guardians, whoa, whoa, whoa. We are Guardians, bum, 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 bum. And the Tigers. The Royals are interesting because they are going to be the opposite of the Astros. They're going to be a young team this year. Sal Perez might be the best catcher in baseball, both from the dish and defensively when you combine them overall. Maybe the best catcher in baseball. Bobby Witt is going to be playing at shortstop this year. You have probably, unless you've been following closely, haven't heard of Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt is the number one prospect in baseball. The guy is expected to have a career. It's a young team. And it's a Royals team that's been remarkably close the last few years. That's a dark horse team to keep an eye on. But I'm going White Sox out of the Central. Out in the East, I'm looking at the Blue Jays. This team has a lot of young talent. Now, the problem is when you heavy invest in young talent, there's as much of a chance that it pays off as it doesn't. If the young talent doesn't pay off, the Jays might be hurt. But they look good. So far, spring training looked good. A lot of young talent on this Blue Jays team. But as much as it pains me, I've got to go Yankees. I got to go Yankees here. I don't want to, but I'm going to. I think the Yankees are more than capable of having a World Series run this year. I think they are more than capable. I think they've put together a good rotation. There's no question they're going to be able to hit the ball. I'm going to take the Yankees to end up winning the AL East. The Red Sox, I'm curious about, right? Red Sox gave it a good run to play catch-up late in the year last year. I just don't think they have the power that the Yankees have from the dish right now. So I'm taking the Yankees. As far as your World Series goes, I don't even know that I care to make an AL pick because your World Series champs are coming out of the National League this year. And as much as I would love to tell you that the Atlanta Braves are going to repeat as World Series champions, I don't think they do. And it's not the loss of Freddie Freeman that hurts them. Because again, remember, the Braves won the World Series last year without Ronald Acuna. Ronald Acuna is more than capable of picking up the numbers you lost when Freddie Freeman bolted for LA. That's not where the problem lies. You added Matt Olson to replace those numbers from Fast Freddie Freeman as well. And as I've told you a bunch, the offensive production from Olson from the dish is nearly identical to what Freddie Freeman has done the past couple of years. The guy's an all-star. The problem that the Braves are going to have is that the Dodgers are going to be remarkable this year. The Dodgers are the best team in baseball. It's not a question. You already had 3 former MVPs on this team in Clayton Kershaw, Mookie Betts, and Cody Bellinger. Now you've added Freddie Freeman. Your NL batting champion last year was Trey Turner. Your 1-2-3 rotation is Kershaw, Buehler, and Urias. This is a 106-win team. And frankly, a team that I don't think it would be all that crazy for them to look at a 110-win season. The Dodgers are remarkable. The Dodgers have put together perhaps the best hitting lineup of all time. And that is not, I tell you all the time, beware recency bias, right? Beware recency bias. Beware falling into the trap of this thing looks really good now, and it looks so good that you forget about all the other good that has happened in the past. It is why, if you ask a guy who the best basketball player of all time is, if they're younger, they're giving you Bron. If they're giving you slightly older, they're giving you Kobe. If they are slightly older than that, they're giving you Jordan. If they're slightly older than that, they're giving you, Oscar Robertson. Recency bias is real. With that being said, this Dodgers lineup might be the best hitting lineup of all time. This Dodgers 1-2-3 punch is probably the best starting rotation you'll find anywhere. In fact, the only reason I'm going to go ahead and go on the record. I don't make strong calls often. I'm going to put a strong call down on this. The only reason The only reason that the LA Dodgers don't end up in the World Series is if they just get decimated by the injury bug. That's it. The only thing keeping the LA Dodgers out of the World Series is if they have a rash of injuries. If they don't have guys frequently going on the 40-day IR, they win the World Series. And frankly, I don't know if it's particularly close. Again, I think the Braves are going to compete with them. The Braves are a 100-win team this year, right? With all the acquisitions they made last year at the trade deadline and everything they put together going into the back half of the season, they got really good. This year, they have most of those pieces back. They are going to be really good. But this Dodgers lineup is, it's damn near unfair, if I'm being honest with you. It is damn near unfair. Between Mookie, Trey, Cody, Freddie. By the way, on top of all of that, the Dodgers, the team that competed with Atlanta last year en route to a World Series victory. The Dodgers have now taken leadership piece number 1 out of Atlanta and brought him to LA. And before you hit me with, yeah, Rob, but new team, is that going to translate? Remember, Freddie's a California dude. I am all but convinced 90% of the reason that Freddie is in LA, right? I've heard, Freddie's all about the money. He's all about the money. It was all about the money, all about the money, all about the money. Yeah, that's a big part of it. I'm convinced Freddie Freeman is in LA because that's where his wife wanted to be. And listen, that's a weak take most of the time. To blame something on a dude's wife is a weak take most of the time. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, I think that he is there because his wife wanted to be there. His wife is an aspiring fashion designer. She's from California. He's from California. Remember we talked about Zion a few weeks ago. Whether or not Zion has played his last game as a New Orleans Pelican because all the big media talking heads are hitting everybody with Zion needs exposure. Zion needs to get his face on TV if he wants to sell more tennis shoes. Zion needs exposure. He needs social media likes. What better way to get that than to go to a huge market like New York? Athletes care about exposure. They care about building a brand. It makes them money, like a lot of it. Being in LA gives the Freemans all of that they want and more. That's not the point of the topic I'm making here. The point is, Freddie wants to be in LA. Freddie's wife wants to be in LA. Both of them want to be in Los Angeles for that reason. So all of the clubhouse locker room leadership that the Braves lost with Freddie Freeman going to LA, LA gains with Freddie Freeman coming to LA. So the one thing that maybe LA did not have last year, they have now, which is that one voice to rally behind. They have that now. That makes them dangerous. The LA Dodgers are your World Series champions this year. Short of a rash of injuries, LA hosts the title. By the way, Tiger Woods on his way to T-Box number 1 to start his round at the Masters. And you can say what you want, the dude is definitely limping. There is a definite limp to Tiger Woods. How does that impact him? We'll talk about that coming up. Coming up in the next segment, we got a major soccer event happening right here in the upstate this evening when the Greenville Triumph play in a massive tournament. I'll tell you about that. And coming up in 27 minutes from now, Fight Club with Alonzo, your home for all things combat sports in the upstate. This is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
change the sport, bro, even if it wasn't recognized by the New Jersey High School Association. All right, American League predictions with these two beautiful, beautiful gentlemen coming up here on the show after we get a CBS Sports Radio update from the varsity letterman himself, Andrew Bush.
Well, that's going to be a problem.
What's that?
Apparently, some genius deleted Fight Club.
Oh.
I would be that genius.
I was like, who did that?
Yeah, that'd be me. The intro, but I'm sure I have it saved somewhere. Nah, I guess I'll be making a new one. Not today, but of course I got to save somewhere. I just got to find it.
So, I have told you guys, you don't have to like it. You do have to accept it. The upstate is soccer country. Been two things happening right here in the upstate that I'm keeping my eyes on and I'm very interested in. First off, I got an email. Well, actually, we got an email yesterday during the show when we were on a break. Our buddy Lee from our sister station WORD comes down here and he kicks the door open. And he says, "Hey man, I just got an email from, weirdly enough, South Carolina." And the email had attached to it a contact from another conference's commissioner regarding some kind of announcement. Said, "Do you know what that's about?" And I said, "It turns out I do." The University of South Carolina fields a men's soccer team. However, men's soccer is not a sport sponsored by the Southeastern Conference. There is no SEC soccer on the men's side. So, because they have a team, the University of South Carolina has announced that they will play soccer this year as a member of the Sun Belt Conference. USC going to be playing in the Sun Belt Conference this year. They announced that yesterday. They did a Zoom conference for the media yesterday, and it was announced that South Carolina soccer will play in the Sun Belt Conference. So they will actually get a men's team going, which is awesome. That news broke yesterday afternoon on the Gamecocks website, as well as reported by a few others. Ray Tanner, quote, "We are excited to join the Sun Belt Conference in men's soccer. We think this decision gives our team a competitive schedule, regional travel advantages, and opportunity for our program to be successful on a national level. We are excited the direction Coach Anand has taken the program and look forward to this transition." There will be 9 teams making up Sun Belt soccer this year. 3 of the new Sun Belt members, James Madison, Marshall, and Old Dominion, will join Coastal Carolina, Georgia Southern, and Georgia State. In addition, Kentucky, South Carolina, and West Virginia will compete as affiliate members for men's soccer only, as Sun Belt soccer is one place that those teams whose conferences do not field men's soccer leagues will be able to do so. The Sun Belt men's soccer membership has a lot of achievement to it. The 9 teams have combined for more than 100 all-time NCAA tournament appearances. The Gamecocks did compete in Conference USA back in 2005. They also played in the Metro Conference in 93 and 94, but were independent before and after that affiliation. The Gamecocks will have conference home matches against Georgia Southern, Marshall, James Madison, and Kentucky. They will make roadies to West Virginia, Coastal Carolina, Old Dominion, and Georgia State. The soccer schedule for the Gamecocks will start September 24th when they play at home against Georgia Southern. October 1st, a roadie to Blacksburg will they take on West Virginia. Marshall will visit October 8th. On the road to Myrtle Beach when they take on Coastal Carolina on October 15th. Then they turn around 4 days later and have a roadie at Old Dominion. Back home on the 23rd to play James Madison. The 28th, they are in Georgia at Georgia State. And then November 1st, they will host another SEC and everything else but Conference USA squad in Kentucky to wrap up the year. So good on South Carolina. That's a great move. That's a great move. Soccer is a sport that I think I project way down the line, nowhere near now. But down the line, I genuinely believe that soccer will become a revenue-generating sport at the NCAA level. It's got the juice, right? We're looking at everything that is happening right now in soccer with the growth of MLS, which continues. I told you a couple weeks ago, when the NCAA tournaments were being held in Greenville, me and a couple of buddies hit up one of my favorite watering holes, Hall of Fame Sports Grill. And when we walked in, there were like 5 or 6 different people wearing Premier League jerseys. Premier League's gotten big enough that NBC has picked them up on Saturday mornings and weekdays to play European soccer matches. The sport's growing. And it's growing in this country, and I believe it's going to continue to do so. And because it will continue to do so, soccer down the line has the potential to become a revenue-generating sport. If that does indeed happen, if that is a real possibility, you want to be in now. You want to be in now. You want to be in before it really takes off at the collegiate level. So South Carolina jumping on board, joining the Conference USA and going in that direction is a great move. You are ahead of the curve of this level of what is arguably the most rapidly growing sport in the United States. I think it's a solid move. I think it's a smart move from Ray Tanner and South Carolina. I think it's a smart move for the Sun Belt to put in a couple of SEC teams into play, right? Because those fan bases, I think, turn up. We saw the audiences that Clemson drew to their men's soccer team last year en route to a national championship. I was getting pictures from historic rigs all year of really good crowds. Well, South Carolina's not going to be lining it up with the likes of Florida and Tennessee, but you're going to be lining it up in one of the most overall accomplished soccer conferences of all. This is a great move from South Carolina. It's a great move for the Gamecocks. It's a great move for the game of soccer. I love it. Speaking of the game of football, we have got a really cool thing happening tonight right here in the Upstate. At 7 p.m. this evening at Legacy Early College, the Greenville Triumph will be dropping first kick against the Oakland Roots. This is their opening round game in the 2022 U.S. Open Cup, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, a knockout cup competition. It is the oldest ongoing national soccer competition in the United States. It has been held since back in the 1913-14 season and is ongoing. This is the, 109th edition of the Cup. It is held between Major League Soccer, the U.S. Soccer League's championship, and the two USL League One divisions. USL League One, USL and USL League One, which is, of course, what the Triumph playing. It is a knockout soccer tournament of which the lower divisions can cash a really nice paycheck. The overall champion gets a check for $300,000 in prize money and a berth in the CONCACAF Champions League. The runner-up receives $100,000, and the furthest advancing team from each lower division league receives $25,000, which means that should the Triumph out of USL League One be the furthest advancing team, which a win tonight would go a long way in, there could potentially be a check for as much as $25K coming their way with, if they were to accomplish a dream run in this tournament, the potential for more down the line. Now, no lower division team has won the U.S. Open Cup since the Rochester Rhinos back in 1999. No lower team has reached the final since the Charleston Battery did it back in 2008. Obviously, the growth of Major League Soccer and a massive amount of participation from that league makes it very difficult for the lower league teams to accomplish that. But the point is, the opportunity is there. The chance is there. The second round, which is what we're in technically, is going to be shown. In fact, all the matches today go on ESPN Plus. So if you can't make it out to Legacy early, crank on ESPN Plus and watch that game. I'll be the very tall, handsome guy in the supporter section playing the drums. This is a big opportunity. This is a big moment. This is, outside of actual MLS play, this is the biggest tournament that is hosted in the States. And the Triumph have been invited to participate. The Triumph will participate. And with what did Scott Sapp say? With a little hope and faith, there's some opportunity here. Not just for the Triumph to make a little money, but should they be able to put together a solid run through the early rounds of this tournament to end up getting a little national attention and maybe a fat paycheck at the end of it. These are the type of events that help put upstate sports on the map. These are the type of events that get us shown around the country. These are the type of events that get people to see the upstate of South Carolina as what I believe it is, which is a sports mecca. Right? I've told you guys, when I got this job and I got the opportunity to make a decision, do I want this job or not? One of the selling points for me was there are 3 professional soccer teams in Greenville. There are a few more in the surrounding cities around it. We are 50 minutes from Clemson, an hour and 35 from South Carolina, 2 from Atlanta and a pair of sports teams there, 2 from Charlotte and a pair, actually 3 now, professional sports team there. I am within 4 hours of 5 different NASCAR tracks. We are in the heart of NASCAR country. The point is, these are the type of events that help grow that image. These are the type of events that help push that forward. These are the type of events that help this place continue to grow in the American sports community. These are the type of events that help Greenville grow in the eyes of United States sports. And my plea to get you to come to the game is, there is not much that looks better than when we show out, when we get nationally televised broadcast. I was at the Well for the first and second round of the NCAA tournament. When Davidson and Michigan State went to the wire, that place was rocking, and it looked really good on TV. When I went to the second day of competition, and we got Izzo v. K, Duke v. Michigan State, that place was rocking, and it looked good on national TV. This match tonight is on ESPN+. This match tonight is nationally televised. This match tonight, should it have a great moment, is exactly the type of match that gets you in the ESPN Top 10. This is the type of event that those types of large-scale media outlets love to get stories out of, love to run. We take you down to Greenville, South Carolina. Look at this incredible thing that happened. And it looks that much better when they show that highlight and the camera turns to the stands and that place is packed out. Show up, show out, help continue to put Greenville on the map, which is what this match does. And more importantly, show up, make some noise for the boys, help the Triumph win this thing, move on to the next round, and get even that much more love. If they are able to make a run like the Charleston Battery did back in 2008, that puts them in a USL Cup Open final or semifinal. Those get on the big sticks. Those get broadcasted in a big way, and now a packed Legacy early shows up on TV. Tickets are like $5 starting tonight. You got 2 hours and $5. I know you do. Show up, show out. Let's put Greenville on the national map even more than it already is. What do you say? I'll see you there. Let's take a break. When we come back, it is time for Fight Club. Lonzo walks us through everything going on in the world of combat sports next on The Rob Brown Show This is the Fan Upstate.
Welcome into the Fight Club. Before we get into the festivities and what you expect here, no, I did not get punched in the mouth. If you're looking on the screen on Facebook and on YouTube, go back a year, you'll see this thing on my lip. Go back 2 years, you'll see this thing on my lip. I don't know what it is. Happens all the time.
Stop getting in very specifically timed fights.
Well, you know, if I were to be punched in the lip, I would say the classic, you should see the other guy. Anyway, before we get into all this, I want to remind you South Carolina Comic-Con coming up Saturday and Sunday. And if you are a wrestling fan, they have you covered. Who's going to be there, Lonzo? Who's going to be? Well, let me tell you, Arn and Brock Anderson. Arn Anderson,
friend of the show,
who we just had on the program, along with his son, who he talked about on the program. FTR, they're all right. Matt Hardy, Tony Schiavone, who Rob and I will be interviewing a little bit later on today, and you'll get to hear tomorrow at what time? 11:20 is what you said?
Yeah.
11:20?
This time tomorrow.
And also the Steiner brothers, which I know that Scott Steiner will be there. Not sure if Rick Steiner will be there because if you watched NXT 2.0 this year, Rick Steiner was kidnapped. So by Gacy. So and his psycho dude with him. So I guess he's going to get a title shot out of it, which, you know, good for him. Whatever method in wrestling that it takes to get to where you need to go. All right, ton of things to get to, including one that even though I watched it, I didn't think it was as big of a deal, but Rob brought it up because he shows up everywhere, which is fine, but he only shows up for a short while and then he leaves. All right, Samoa Joe showed up on AEW last night. This was news that broke, I don't know, a few days ago. About him being with ROH. And if you're with ROH, you're also AEW. And he came out and he looked awesome against Max Caster, which I want to ask a question of Tony Schiavone about Max Caster later on. Max Caster's rap was so good that Samoa Joe just laughed the whole time. He did his smirk thing, but you could tell that it was cracking him up. It was pretty good. And in his rap, he talked about Samoa Joe being injury prone, which is something that Rob Brown has brought up many times. Last night's match, man, he looked wicked. He looked really good. And then he did a few things. I'm thinking, okay, is this when he got hurt? Is this when he got hurt? But as far as I know, he's still not hurt. Good to have Joe in AEW. Really, it's good to have Joe in any ring. Just enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, Samoa Joe, when he's good and he's healthy, he's a killer, man, right? Like the whole chant of Joe is gonna kill you is always entertaining.
It never gets old either.
No, it's great. When he's healthy and he's at his best, the dude's a killer. He's amazing. It's just for whatever reason, he's just one of those dudes that's born injury prone. And when he got to NXT the first time, that's what he was. Then he got hurt. Then he shows up in the main roster and looked incredible till he got hurt. Then he showed up for another run in NXT. Looked great till he got hurt. It just sucks. It's unfortunate for the guy, but, you know, appreciate it when he shows up.
All right, so we're going to jump all over the place in this one. Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare, showed up on Raw and actually started Raw off, which was kind of a surprise. But he mentioned that his dad never won the championship and that he was going to win the championship. So the question is, now with the championships being unified, still 2 belts right now. We don't know if it's going to go to a single belt or not. Who will Cody end up facing for the championship? And how long do you think it will take, Rob?
First off, was it a surprise he let off Raw? That's a massive defection for Vince, right? That's the first big name to leave All Elite and move over to WWE. That's a win for Vince, considering it feels like once a week AEW's got another former WWE guy that shows up, including some big names. This is the first defection going the other way. And not only is it a defection of an AEW guy to WWE, but it's one of the original AEW guys. Like that, this is the guy that dropped the announcement about AEW, right? Like he was the one at that pool in Miami with the pyro going the night they announced the creation of All Elite. I think it's a huge defection, so I'm not at all surprised that Cody was the guy that let it off. Now, here's my question. If WWE made a contract offer big enough to get Cody away from AEW, did it include a clause that Cody would eventually win a title, right?
Yeah, I would
have to think it would.
Yeah, or he wouldn't be coming out and saying that right away.
Right. I think it did. So the question is, do you have Cody come over and beat Roman? I don't think so, right? But that's the only belt Cody mentioned was the belt, the strap, the championship. Do you have him be the guy that beats Roman? Because to me, it's an interesting look that Brock couldn't do it and all these other legends and heavyweights couldn't do it. And then Cody from AEW shows up.
Yeah, but he's not going at him if that's the case as Cody from AEW. He's going at him as Cody, son of Dusty.
Sure, and listen, it was an amazing promo from Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Right? Like tremendous
When
promo.
does he not give good I mean, he's pretty good at it.
Yeah, and the irony, I guess the humor of it is not lost on me in this is the dude that you had pretend to be Stardust because you thought he was a lower mid-carder years ago, and now you've got him out there cutting promos about, I'm Dusty's son. Why would he Dusty's son last time, right? I'm Dusty's son, and I'm here to get a belt to make my daddy proud, which, again, I get, I understand, I respect it, and I liked it. It was a great promo, but, is that the guy you ultimately have beat Roman? Do you have somebody else beat Roman first? And if so, who? You have created this monster that's unbeatable in Roman. Is Cody the guy you want him to drop it to?
See, what I believe is going to happen, this isn't fantasy booking, this is me believing what's going to happen, is that Roman's going to drop.
Fantasy booking.
Well, whatever. Roman is going to drop the belt, one of the belts to somebody. And whoever he drops it to, that's who Cody beats.
Yeah, and probably, right? Probably, but again, what's that transition look like, right? Because here's what I don't want. What I don't want is another situation like we had when Big E won the belt, and then it turns out, nope, he's just a transition, right? He's just a guy to hold it for a day so that you don't have the guy that did have it lose to the next guy to have it, in which case, all right, I guess we're playing that game again, I guess. I don't know.
Unless WWE learned from Bianca Becky. Because you were able to take that for nearly an entire year to build that up back to WrestleMania, and I thought it worked. I thought it was a great way to do that. From Bianca being squashed to losing to Becky multiple ways, all because of cheating, but still throughout the entire year to get to WrestleMania where she picks up the victory. If you do something like that and you can tell a really good story, I think that would be really cool. All right, the next thing is there was a major debut made in wrestling, and it was very impactful. And this guy looks very familiar to me, Ezekiel. I'm not quite sure who this guy is, Rob, but he looks like he could be a star. Yeah, I don't know who this is.
He's Elias's younger brother.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's like I've seen him before. He's a spitting image of what I wondered if Elias would look like if he shaved his beard.
Can I just tell you, dumb stuff in wrestling is sometimes the best stuff, right? Like sometimes dumb stuff is the stuff we have the most fun with. And this was it for me. Like when he came out and then Ezekiel went across the Tron, I'm like, oh, I'm here for this. This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is great.
And Kevin Owens is the perfect guy for this.
Yeah. And then Kevin, I don't like liars. Elias, I don't know who you're talking about. That's my older brother. I'm his younger brother. It was so dumb. It was so dumb. And yet I was totally tuned in for the whole thing.
And by the way, that crowd had mixed reactions to a lot of things. They loved it, which is, some people, wrestling fans, believe it or not, take it way too serious. And that was great.
This is proof, right? This is proof that you can do dumb things in wrestling. And if you write them out well, they're still great, right? They can still be great. Not every story. Like I've told you, I like AEW because it feels more real to me, right? Like it feels like it is genuinely a wrestling company as opposed to a TV show put on by some guys that are wrestlers on a reality show. You can do dumb things and have them be awesome if you write them well. The problem that I've had with WWE is they keep going to the same dumb things and never write them out well. This was hilarious. I loved it. And you're right. KO is so good on the mic that he made it even better by calling it out, right? Instead of rolling with it, by calling it out and acting as a frustrated fan, it made it great.
And I hope this is I don't want to see Ezekiel in the ring for a while. I just want to see him showing up wherever Kevin Owens is. And just kind of just walking in wherever he's at and just becoming a bit for a while. I think that would be so good.
Listen, I will tell you, Elias was one of my favorite gimmicks in a long time, right? Like the I'm gonna make it as a musician rock star who was convinced he was the man was a phenomenal. This might be better. This might be better. Riding the coattails of a guy who doesn't have coattails by not being him, but I'm in.
Yeah, me too. Speaking of gimmicks, Rob, maybe you can answer this question because no one else can. Why does the Danhausen curse not work on Hook? Why does it not work on Hook? And as a result, are we actually going to see Danhausen wrestle soon? This might be a question we need to ask of Tony Schiavone. Maybe he knows.
We might very well have to. Like, have you, like, I don't know, right? I don't know. And I need to know what the superpower Hook has is. You want to know why I think it, like in my head, why it doesn't work on Hook? Because Hook's a fighter who doesn't do gimmick wrestling. Honestly, in my head canon, Hook is just like everybody else that's a wrestler likes wrestling. Hook's just there to fight, right? So he doesn't do gimmicks. I want him to not fall
I'm not even sure I've ever heard Hook talk. Maybe I have, but
I don't think I have either.
Yeah.
You know how every other wrestler, like when guys are setting up their finishers and they've got like the theatrics of the, stomping the foot down or playing to the crowd and everything. I've always said if I made a wrestler, my gimmick would be that I never let that happen, right? As soon as the wrestler, like when Randy gets down and starts pounding the canvas to set up the RKO, my guy realizes that and just runs over and kicks him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he just doesn't go for the gimmicks in wrestling. And I got to think that's Hook's character because it makes me laugh.
And he doesn't have to talk. There have been other wrestlers who don't really. I want to see Dan. Everyone has told me about Danhausen. I've seen the promos. I've seen this. I want to see if this dude can wrestle because if he can't wrestle, that ruins the whole thing for me. All right, the next thing we have here. This is something controversial, I thought, and maybe no one else picked up on this. Last night, JR was saying that these are the two best tag teams in all of wrestling, talking about FTR and the Young Bucks. If you're Jurassic Express, doesn't that bother you?
You mean the champions?
Yeah, the champions. The fact that JR just called these two. Now, look, it was a great match. It was. But you just dissed the champs.
I think the reason JR has been such a legacy guy is because historically throughout his career, JR has been a fan who just happened to have the job of being the play-by-play guy, right? Like JR has been a fan of wrestling for so many years, and we all got on with JR because JR was a fan first, and he was a fan first who then called play-by-play, which I think we all connected with, right? Because JR thought about wrestling the way we as fans thought about wrestling and then gave us that voice on the mic. But here's the thing. As somebody who loves Jurassic Express, I do, right? I love JR. I love Jurassic Express. I love everybody involved in this. As wrestling goes, Lonzo, he's absolutely right, right? Like he's absolutely right. These two are, as putting on a great wrestling match goes, these two are the best tag teams in the game. I know Lonzo hates FTR, but for what their gimmick is, which is an old school, do it right, hold on to the tag rope when you're in the corner type tag team, they're very, very good at it, and the Young Bucks are the Young Bucks.
And see, I would put the Usos in there ahead of FTR, and I also would put a full-strength New Day in there because of the matches that I saw, especially those two against each other. And maybe that's the thing that FTR and the Young Bucks bring something else out of each other when they go head-to-head.
I'm not going to, like, I won't tell you that you're wrong in that, right? Because I love the Usos. I love
waiting for bias to show up.
It's not bias. Here, I told you this when we went to the show the other week. I think there is one primary difference between, I guess two primary differences between AEW and WWE. The one I just mentioned a second ago. The second one is I think AEW is built for wrestling fans who like wrestling matches. And I think WWE is for wrestling fans that like storylines that ultimately end in wrestling matches, which is why with AEW, about 80 to 85% of your segments have a wrestling match involved. In WWE, it's probably like 40, 50% you have an actual wrestling match involved. WWE is, and I'm not saying one is better than the other. I have one I prefer. Other people have the other they prefer. I think AEW is for fans who like wrestling matches, and WWE is fans for like stories that culminate in wrestling matches. I think as wrestling in a ring goes, I think those two are the best in the world. If I needed a great story out of them, I would absolutely say New Day and Usos do a better job of that.
I would put the Usos versus New Day in the cage where Xavier Woods basically got crucified.
Yeah,
and
one of the best matches I've ever seen.
That I'd put that ahead of this match, even though it was good. So, and I get what you're saying, but I think there's room in, well, at least in my fandom, for both. But I think it's kind of a diss on Jurassic Express, and I hope they play off of that. I hope they do. They probably won't. They'll just let that go as, JR wasn't thinking, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. One last thing. UFC has just announced that Fight of the Night for their, numbered events, their pay-per-views, like 273, 274 or whatever, will be voted on, but by the public, by the fans, but the winner gets paid in Bitcoin. Are you good with this? The winner getting paid in Bitcoin. And do you think the fighters are down with getting paid in Bitcoin?
I don't think they would do it if they weren't.
See, I disagree.
I don't think they would do it if they weren't.
The Dana's like, if you don't like Bitcoin, too bad.
I would suspect, right, that they have the ability to say, I want to get paid in.
Well, we're seeing some NFL guys wanting their roster bonuses or what,
Sure,
signing bonuses
crypto,
in that kind of thing. So I wonder if you were a fighter, would you be okay with that?
I'm gonna tell you the truth, man.
I want a briefcase full of money. That's what I want.
I have very loosely followed cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin and Dogecoin and all this stuff. I have very loosely followed it. I do not know enough to say, oh yeah, I definitely would or would not. I would tell you, if I had a job that paid me in 7 and 8 figure payments, I'd have a guy. I'd have a lot of guys that I go, is this worth it? I like today, for instance, Bitcoin is down 75 points today, which means it lost about 0.2% of its value on the day so far, and seems to still be falling. But then there are days back, I don't know, a couple days ago. Let's see. Let's look at the last month of Bitcoin. It's actually up over the last month. It started at 37,998. It's at 43,259 today. So I don't know enough about it to say yes or no is what this ultimately comes down to.
So when we go out to future events, like we're being told we're going to be going out to future events,
Yep.
I want cash. Rob is okay with Bitcoin.
I literally just said, I don't know. Like literally the last thing I said was, I don't know enough about this.
I just want to see if they're listening. That's all.
I don't know.
Boy, you'd be mad at me if I'm holding cash and you're like, okay, I got this. Although, actually, I think like buying one Bitcoin, I guess you can buy one Bitcoin is probably quite a bit of money.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Bitcoin's expensive, right? So like $1 million is 4 Bitcoin. I don't know how it works.
It just, I mean, if you look at the dumb jock type thing that people have in meatheads in a cage fighting each other, you would not think that they'd be okay with, if you follow the stereotype, you wouldn't think that they'd be okay with getting paid in Bitcoin.
Follow the stereotype of rich people have people to do this for them, right? Like I'm not rich and there's somebody cleaning my apartment right now, well, the Casa de Love right now, because I don't want to do it. So I will give someone a chunk of my money to make sure that I have as much of it as I can. Let's take a break, come back. Is it Twitter next? I am totally blanked.
Sure, why not? Why not? We're going to Twitter next.
Twitter trending topics coming up next to wrap up the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate.
Hey, man, snap out of it. We got Tony Schiavone in 2 hours.
Struggling today, man.
Actually, we got Tony Schiavone in 1 hour. Let's go.
Yep.
Let me just say, whatever I did, I'm sorry. I probably will do it again. Whatever it is, just blame it all on me.
Ladies and gentlemen, and the Emmy for dramatic acting in a reality series goes to.
I'm so sorry.
See, we talked about Hulk Hogan, and now he's trending on Twitter.
You know what? I'm blaming you for this.
Yeah, it's my fault.
This is bad. Let's see if I can make those halftime adjustments.
Oh. Hulk Hogan is trending because it was 25 years ago today that Booker T accidentally called him the N-word during a promo.
Accidentally?
Yeah. Dude, did you see his face when he said it? It was absolutely an accident.
This is bad. I think this is worse than being completely under the table. Because I can't bank. Oh, that's just downright wrong. That was in because of the angle of the. Use physics right.
So things are going great.
One more try. Yeah, I got the other one. It's those near misses that just make you mad. Sure, it goes over really well, all that noise on the stream. Oh, I should be doing that. Yeah, I should be. Should be doing what I was doing. I should have been doing my job. Except for I don't see it. Play! Play!
You would have taken all the attention off. A burger. We're hanging out with Tommy Muscle.
Sports Flash.
Yep. So even 14 minutes and it's not enough. Indeed you do. I am not reading this. It is time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internet, and he tells us what he knows about it. The first thing trending is, this is going to be weird, Otter Pops.
Otter Pops. Otter Pops, I remember, were you got them in a big box, and they were Freezy Pops, but they came as just the juice, right? And you froze them all together. And then when you were ready for one, you take it out of the box and you cut the top, but you had to make sure you got the little bit out of the cut end. But I never understood why. When we were kids, Alonzo, and we'd get Otter Pops, we would open them, and then instead of cutting them open and eating them as Freezy Pops, we would crush them back into juice for some reason.
Okay, that's just weird. That was what we did. Odd.
We used to crush the Otter Pop back down into juice, so then we just had cold syrup sugar juice, and it was like a top 5 snack all time when we were a kid.
All right, here's the reason why this is trending, and this may have something to do with, I don't know, different ages or something. I've never never heard them called Otter Pops.
And there's Freezy Pops.
It was Freeze Pops, and there's a big debate on social media right now. Which one is right? Is it Otter Pops or is it Freeze Pops? And apparently, from what I'm seeing, Otter Pops was actually a brand name.
Yes, Otter Pops was a brand. It's like Kleenex versus tissue. Like, you know, everybody says, "Can I have a Kleenex?" But Kleenex is one specific brand. I mean, they were Freezy Pops where I was from, but Otter Pops was the brand of Freezy Pops that we all had.
I do have a question about whether it's Freezy Pops, Freeze Pops, Otter Pops. Do they go bad?
I mean, I can't. They're nothing but preservatives, right?
Yeah, I don't know, because we've had some in our freezer for a really long time. And, you know, I mean, they still look the same as they did when they first froze. I don't know if they're still good or not.
Yeah, I'm sure they're good. I mean, they're literally nothing but sugar and preservatives.
I might take a shot later. May not be here tomorrow, but I might take a shot later. All right, the next thing that's trending is Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk, I saw something about him. Actually, I saw something this morning when I was, I'm on the smart TV and I'm hooking everything up and getting ready to do some show cleanup before I come into the office. And I see that there's a documentary called like Until the Wheels Fall Off or something. I hadn't heard of it. I didn't know that was going to be a thing. I'll absolutely watch it because Tony Hawk was one of the coolest athletes of my generation. But I don't know if that's why he's trending.
Okay, that's not why he's trending, but it's still kind of cool. I'm interested in that also. He had another one of those incidents.
Are you Tony Hawk? Tony Hawk incidents?
He was in the elevator, but we've reached a different level with this.
Okay.
So that happened, and the wife apologized after because the husband knew it was Tony Hawk. And so we've reached a level where the people know that it happens to Tony Hawk so often. Now they're doing it to make it look like they don't know that he's really Tony Hawk.
Hey, man, get that social media clout. Get on board. If you see Tony Hawk, make sure that you ask Tony Hawk, are you Tony Hawk?
Hey, you know who you look like. Just do that.
Yeah.
I mean, after a while, does that get old, or is it just kind of funny?
That's got to be funny to him. He wouldn't tweet about it every time it happens.
Yeah, that's true. He gets himself trending by tweeting about it every single time. Keep yourself relevant.
Yeah, why not?
The next thing that's trending, not a good thing, Nash Carter is trending.
Got nothing.
All right. Nash Carter was NXT Tag Team Champion, no longer. There was his ex-wife, on-again wife, whatever. First, she accused him of spousal abuse, which I guess has been debunked depending on where you look at it. But she posted a picture of him joking around with a Hitler mustache and putting his hand up.
Yeah, no. No, ladies and gentlemen,
By the
I'm
way,
gonna tell you,
he did it when he was 19. It doesn't matter, but he was 19 when he did it.
there are a lot of things that people have been called out on. Like, he did this thing when he was a teen, and I'm like, yeah, well, that was really dumb, but like, I'm not taking the guy's career away from him. No, there's not a point in your life, not when you are 16 on Halloween, is there a point where dressing up like Hitler is a good idea.
He wasn't dressed up as Hitler. He had his shirt off. He just had a mustache that kind of looked that way, raised his hand. By the way,
Also, don't do that.
he raised his hand. He could have been saying, "Hey man, over here," or something when they took the picture. Because it almost looked like, at least the one I saw, maybe he was taking the picture. So his hand was raised to take the picture. What it looks like, and just like anything, people on both sides, it looks like a disgruntled ex trying to discredit someone, and it worked. And then a lot of people are like, okay, they held on to Velveteen Dream forever. But apparently this is the thing you just don't do.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture. No, he was doing it, right? Because it's like close up right in front. No, he was there. Don't do that. Kids, don't do that. You will never get a job again. Yes, there are some people who deserve to be canceled.
Won the championship.
This does it.
Won the championship Tuesday, by the way.
And then lost it by waving at the camera, quote unquote. Not a great look. That's it for us. Lonzo and I, in about an hour, interviewed Tony Schiavone. We'll have that for you tomorrow, right here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later, brother.
Hey, Rob, say goodbye to the stream.
That's right. Bye, stream. See you tomorrow.